Hi, it's Cindy, the founder of Feminine Mastery, and your host for our fall series, Leap into Prosperity, where our feminine business masters are guiding us to create our very own powerful, purposeful, and profitable dream businesses. And today we're going to pull out that powerful P. And power is something that could be kind of a controversial topic, especially as women when we're talking about it, whether we are resisting our power, sort of taking on a power that doesn't feel natural, or just resisting power altogether. And so since this is a Feminine Master series, I really want to explore feminine power and that feminine path to finding your personal power. And today with us, we have a very special guest who I met probably about a year ago now. And she's a world-renowned meditation teacher. She's a teacher at the Chopra Center. She was co-partnered and helped build Byron Katie's business. She is just a phenomenal woman, gorgeous inside and out, and really, really fun to be with. So I couldn't be more happy to welcome Sarah McLean.
Hey, how are you, Cindy?
I am good. I'm good. I'm so excited to see you again. I haven't seen you since we met. We've been exchanging communication, and it was a very special day. We met at the Chopra Center, which is local to me. You know, Sarah's in Sedona, Arizona. But I walked in the room, and it's so funny. Like, I didn't know anybody, and everyone was buzzing around, and it was just like Sarah was the first shining light, beautiful face, and really warm and friendly person I met there. Yeah, so it really helped set the stage for my whole experience on the stage next to your husband. How much fun is that? And here we are.
It's really fun. I like being on the stage with him too. He's a lot of fun.
Oh,
you're a lot of fun, and I appreciate that you're putting this program together. I think it is the time for women, and I'm really excited about talking to women about their power and about being a feminine master. I mean, in some way, what does that look like? What does that look like? And I was thinking about it before we got on this call, so I am ready for your questions.
Oh, yay, juicy. And that's what a beautiful context in setting us up for this interview today. So let's dive in. So the first question I want to ask you, I've been asking all the feminine masters, and it's been gorgeous, like just what's been coming out. There's been some similarities and some themes and a lot of differences. So my question for you to get us started off is, what is your most memorable leap into prosperity?
Wow, there are so many, but I'm going to tell you about one that I did not even know I had this self-limiting belief. As you know, and you mentioned, I worked with Deepak Chopra for years, and he was the one who was really instrumental in bringing mind-body health into the U.S. kind of vernacular and bringing meditation mainstream. And years went by. I worked with him starting in 1990, and I became one of the very first primordial sound meditation teachers with him, and then continued to work with them, supporting other teachers as they went through. I left there and went right to India to get the real meditation secrets and spent a lot of time there, moved back to the States and went into a Zen Buddhist monastery. After many years of continually finding the secrets to meditation and self-realization, not that I've found them all, but I certainly have been looking. And there was this time when my students had said to me, "Can you teach me to teach meditation?" They'd been to every single one of my programs. They'd been to a number of my retreats, and they were ready to go out into the world and teach. So I would send them over to John Kabat-Zinn's program where they could learn how to be a mindfulness teacher. There's one at UCLA where they could also learn that. And then I'd send them over to the Chopra Center, of course, where they could be a primordial sound meditation teacher. And sometimes they would even go to the monastery I lived in, because I just thought, well, they want what I have, and so I'm going to send them to the places I went. One day I had the thought, and actually I'd been asked a number of times to teach people how I teach, which is kind of a conglomeration or an alchemy of all the various practices I've learned over the years. And my initial response was, I'm not doing that. I can't possibly teach you. I'd been teaching for 20 years. I'd been practicing meditation for over that, but I still didn't feel like I was qualified. And when I really took a deeper look, I realized that it was because I thought men knew it And I had no idea I was walking through the world with that belief system. I was in the military. I'm very, very, I feel very empowered naturally, but I had that secret in there that was holding me back, that men could do it, I couldn't. And men will tell you they can do it too. But I really didn't have what it took, I thought, until I stepped into it. And I remember that day. It was like instantly this entire body of knowledge was kind of, and I hate to use this word, but I'm in Sedona, channeled through my nervous system. And I came up with this curriculum for teaching teachers that so far seems unsurpassed. And I'm really excited about it. And it was simply because I questioned my belief that I had to be a man in order to do it.
Yeah. What an example of the programming, the limiting programming. I'm getting some feedback, so I'm going to say that again, and we'll edit that part out. What a great example of meeting and having limited programming coming into your awareness. And it wasn't yours, it was probably cultural. I mean, for the most part, there probably were, you know, male masters at that point, and you probably are leading the way and becoming the feminine master meditation center or teacher. And which is why I want to ask you about your center, which I forgot to mention in your bio. So tell us about your center for meditation. Is that where you teach, and what else happens there?
Well, I moved to Sedona not because I thought it was a really good idea to be a meditation teacher here. Actually, it sounds really cliche to be a meditation teacher living in Sedona, but really there were no meditation teachers when I moved here. And I moved here because my husband, who you met, asked me to marry him, and he lived here. So actually, when I first got here, here's another one of my limiting beliefs. I did not want people to identify me with sort of the crystal crunchers and the woo-woo people and the people trying to, ascend. And because I was really serious about meditation, I was a real practitioner. Like I said, I lived in a Zen Buddhist monastery. And just as a little aside, we used to chant the Buddhist teachers' names, all men, every single morning. And I used to put up a fuss because I said, well, wait a minute. It was not every morning of every day, but it was every morning during our retreats. And I said, well, where are all the women? I used to get so mad. And I heard that the Buddha said that women couldn't get enlightened. So I was, definitely in that space. That might have been in the indoctrination. And of course, then you've got the Christian tradition and the Judaic tradition where, it's all the men, right? Let's face it, mostly men. But in general, I moved here and I kind of went into the closet about being a meditation teacher. I got really involved in environmental sustainability projects and environmental issues, maintaining the forest. I wish I could flip this camera around, and maybe I will in a little bit, but so you can see what I'm looking at right now. The Red Rocks of Sedona. It's a place worth saving for sure, and the habitat for so many species. But eventually, I realized I could not change people's hearts and minds with mere facts alone. I had to get them to change their consciousness, and I knew the only way to do it was to teach them meditation. So people eventually started finding out I was a meditator anyway, and then asked me to teach them. So it was kind of a strange entry into Sedona, but now I have a meditation center, an institute that's attended by people all over the world to become meditation teachers and mindfulness teachers. And we're actually going for our licensing with the state of Arizona next Thursday. And we're going to be the first licensed post-secondary institute that professionally trains teachers. So I'm excited about that.
What a great accomplishment. And you're taking on Buddha. I love it.
Well, we're all the Buddha inside, but yes, I was taking on that structure because, that used to make me so mad.
Yeah. And you never know, how all of that gets passed down, which is a whole nother conversation, or we can weave it in to this one because it's really such a dynamic time, and like just our field of awareness opening are this limited programming, people just waking up going, what? Like, I can't believe I was thinking that. I was taught that. And so I like to just kind of erase everything and just, okay, let's just throw that all out, start new, and see what we can create. And so I want you to mention there's that beautiful, it's either a painting or a graphic behind you. So I want you to introduce her to us.
Well, these are, actually I got them at the Chopra Center. There's a great painter, Paul, who's over there, and I can't pronounce his last name. It's a long one beginning with H. But this is a Hindu goddess Lakshmi. She likes to be on the left. She is the goddess of prosperity, which is so funny. I've never had her in any of my pictures before, any of my videos. I guess she wanted to be here today. But she's the goddess of prosperity and abundance in general. Yes, she's got money here, but she's got, beauty as well as abundance of the flowers around her. And she's very powerful, as indicated by this elephant there. And then right next to her, I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to just go like this for a second. Can you see that? That's Saraswati. I like to say I'm named after her. She is the goddess of creativity and beauty and music and the arts. And they are friends. And of course, one leads to the other. And we all want to be creative, whether it's creative in playing, what she's playing, a sitar, or whether we want to create an institute or a teleseminar or make a baby. I mean, creativity is inherent in each one of us. And you started the conversation by talking about power. And power is inherent in each one of us. And I'm not talking about external power, but I'm talking about internal, authentic power. Gary Zukav, whom I worked with for a couple of years, talks about authentic power. Deepak Chopra talks about it too. He talks about being not being object referred, but being self-referred, having that internal center point of stability and solidity. And so in general, that's what we want to aim for when we talk about power.
So that's authenticity has been a huge theme of the series, and we even played with what's the difference between your presence, your feminine presence, and your authenticity. And so now why don't we open it up and have you share with us, how do we become students or practicers of meditation, and how does that guide us to this sense of authentic power that you're talking about?
Well, let me just first define authentic power just a little bit, and then I'll talk about what I think authenticity is, and then we'll talk about meditation. But authentic power is really that power that is sourced within you. It's not based on any accolades you might have, like bestseller or most beautiful person in the world or the fastest runner. It's not based on awards or positions or possessions or even relationships that you play or even any roles that you take on, whether it's somebody that's high profile or somebody that's working in a cubicle somewhere. I mean, authentic power is sourced from within. It is not dependent on anyone or anything for its creation. And it is who you are. I mean, you are that. You are this vital, creative being. And what is authenticity? Authenticity really is about saying what you mean, doing what you say you'll do, being exactly who you are, not what you think other people want you to be. And again, that is sourced from that internal knowingness, which you connect to through the practice of meditation. I think it was Gandhi who said, happiness is when what you think or believe, what you say, and what you do are all in alignment. And I think the more we step into our calling, and I think each one of us is being called to something, whether we're listening to it or having to listen to our self-limiting beliefs. But whether you're listening or not, I think that's what we start to live when we start to meditate and connect with that deep part of ourselves, so that what we think, say, and do are all harmonious. Instead of saying one thing and doing another, or thinking one thing and saying another, that kind of disintegration causes a lot of stress in the nervous system. So I know you want to talk about meditation. Why don't you tell me what you do for meditation?
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot. Well, before I do that, and we go back to meditation, it's a very very rich conversation that you're opening up. And especially I'm fascinated with the nervous system. And when I do guided visualizations with my clients, I often have been guided now to direct them to their spine and to their nervous system. And so that, and if you think about it, we have a core, and our spine and our nervous system is sort of reflective of that core. So if we're, like you say, disjointed, or, you know, not fully connected to the power of our being, or we're expressing ourselves authentically in one area, but there's this, you know, big elephant in our room of, you know, where we're not, or if we're sort of halfway responding from fear and then halfway being fully ourselves, you know, how that could really cause misalignment. And so I think really, really important to how you connected the two. First, people being able to feel that sense of source within themselves that has nothing to do with anything else. And then the expression of that, which becomes your authenticity.
Right, right. It's really about that. So how do you do it? How have you tried it? Have you ever done a meditation?
Yeah, I've done, I'm trying to think of if I've done other, you know, followed other people's meditations. I have friends that are teachers at the Chopra Center, so I've been in a circle and followed meditations that way. I've never had a consistent, you know, what I would consider a meditation practice, which to me has a more of a formality to it, or a process to it. My particular way of bringing myself to that state, the possibility that you're presenting, is through, you know, through breath, through visual. I visually take myself inward and I connect to my energy core, and then I feel that, and I breathe into it, and I feel sort of the source coming back into my body, and I feel all of the centers of my being enlivened. I use nature a lot. This morning I had a very hectic morning, so I went for a walk on the beach, and I sort of do those processes as I'm walking. And yeah, so I'm able to bring myself to a place of alignment and calm, and definitely opening my channel for creativity and guidance and all of that pretty easily without meditation. And lately the guidance, it's like, you know, whether or not we listen, a big part of my guidance lately was go deeper, you know, an invitation to drop in even deeper. And that's why I've been like, okay, meditation, I think I'm ready. So does that answer your question?
That sounds good. I love what you're talking about in terms of connecting and feeling really centered. Meditation means so many things to so many different people. So, you know, I'm not going to suggest that there's only one way to do it. And what you talked about is great. Walking on the beach, visualizing your energy body. You know, it sounds a little more tantric, or like chakra practices, versus some of the other types of meditation, which could involve mindfulness or loving kindness or gratitude practices, or one of my personal favorites is a mantra practice. But every meditation really has 3 ingredients. And the first one is your willingness to do it, willingness to go on the beach and do that silent walk, or willingness to close your eyes and sit for 10 or 15 minutes, or your willingness to put the time in on a regular basis. And then the second ingredient is your gentle attention. So just notice how you're listening to this teleseminar or this video seminar, and you can notice that you're listening. It doesn't take a lot of effort, hopefully. And so it's a gentle, non-effortful attention. And then the third ingredient or component is what you're going to focus on, whether it's something you see in your mind's eye, like you mentioned, your entire nervous system, whether it's something you see out in the world, whether you're gazing at a sunset. Could be something you hear, whether it's the sound of the ocean as the waves come in, or maybe it's something you hear in your mind, like a prayer or a mantra. And you can also focus on something you feel, and you mentioned breath awareness before, and paying attention to the sensation of the breath or the sensations that are present in the body. So what I like to tell people is meditation helps you to connect with that presence that's looking through your eyes. So if you're turning your attention right now to that presence, start to become aware of the one who's looking through your eyes. There's this presence that's been with you since you were born. You know, there's this presence that is unchanging. And even though the body changes, your address changes, your hair color changes, your age changes, your divorces, your marriages, your kids, all this stuff changes, but there's this presence that's stable. And what meditation does is it helps to uncover that which is shrouding that. So because your nature, that one who's looking through your eyes, is naturally present, naturally loving, naturally wise, naturally intuitive, naturally creative, naturally powerful. And what kind of blocks that is stuff we've accumulated, whether it's other people's belief systems or our own personal stress, not saying what we mean, or getting in toxic relationships, or not taking care of ourselves physically. And so meditation is a way of getting rid of everything that's not you. That's not you. I'm going to use an analogy, and then I'll ask you about what you think. So think about what causes you stress, whatever causes stress for you. And think about how you behave. Think within the last 24, 48 hours, think of some situation and see yourself in your mind's eye and how you behave when you're stressed. Probably the opposite of a feminine master, right? But think about how you behave when you're stressed. I mean, the world gets, you have to start becoming adversarial to the world and the people in it and the things in it and situations in general. Now, every time we accumulate stress in the nervous system, it shrouds our vitality, it shrouds our intelligence. And I like to use this analogy. Again, I'm looking right out the mountains here, and the sun usually comes up over the mountains. Today it's cloudy. And as it does, it lights up all the dust that's in my living room, and it starts going like this around, and then it lands on my glass table right in front of me. And I don't always notice that the accumulation of this dust, and I don't always know where it's coming from, obviously. And yet I'll move my meditation timer or my book, and I'll see a clear spot. The nature of the table is transparent, it's reflective, it's shiny. When that accumulation of stress or dust comes on that table, it shrouds its qualities. And I look at meditation as a way of dusting the table. Now, it's not the number one way to get rid of stress. The number one way your physiology recovers from stress is through sleep and through discharging the hormones of the reactivity response, the fight or flight response. But in general, sleep is not always enough, and that's why meditation is becoming so important these days. Now, have you heard of the word mindfulness?
Of course I have.
Do you live mindfully? Do you know what it means?
To me, it means conscious choice, consciously choosing to be present, aware, awake, and thoughtful, instead of rushing through and reacting to life, really being mindful of the moment and what it's bringing to you and who's in it, and then calling, if I were to act on mindfulness, creating harmony in a situation or elevating a situation if it's not at that place.
I love it. That's beautiful. That's exactly what it takes, because when you're mindful, you're engaged with what you're doing while you're doing it, and you're being completely present. I guess the one way I describe mindfulness is to describe what mindlessness is. It's like checking your phone for the time and noticing someone liked one of your posts on Facebook, and then noticing it was somebody's birthday and you notice somebody else called you, and next thing you know, you're off on another tangent when all you wanted to do was look at the time. And mindfulness really means being engaged and bringing your whole self to a situation without judgment, without evaluation. And many of us have moved out of mindfulness. We eat while we drive. We check our emails while we talk on the phone. We run and we listen to books on tape. Whatever it may be, we're just constantly multitasking, constantly being distracted. And that causes a lot of dust to land on that table as well. So being mindful helps to dust the table. as well. So I'm going to mindfully drink this glass of water. Or bottle of water, I should say. But mindfulness is a way of alleviating stress and connecting to that true inner power, to that intelligence that's going through you as you.
It's beautiful. The foundational practice.
I'm sorry, I have to cough. You're going to have to edit that.
Oh, that's okay.
I must have swallowed some of that dust.
All that dust talk.
Sedona's extremely dusty. You should see my table right here.
Oh, are you okay?
Yeah, it was intense there for a minute. So can you cut that out?
Yes, I can. I can cut that out.
Good.
All right. So we got 2 edits here. So so I love that mindfulness came into it, and what it's bringing up in me is the foundational practice of feminine mastery that's always been with me since the very beginning of when I started my journey doing what I do, is clear, connect, and create. And so clearing is what I present, is that there's a multitude of practices, meditation being one of them, where we can clear. Mindfulness, gratitude, yoga, time in nature, all different practices. And then connecting would be more of, well, actually meditation would be all of them, but meditation would be a great connective practice. So connecting within, listening, breathing, breath work, and then creating would be from that place of alignment. So after the dust clears, come to a place of being, and then creating and living your life. So it's a wonderful sort of balance and harmony that allows people to be active, but also incorporate these practices that bring us to that state of being, giving us access to who we are and the power of who we are. So what next? What else can you tell us about maybe your unique approach to meditation, and maybe some of the changes that you've seen in people's personal power, and how that's been a ripple out in their lives, or even their businesses, just if there's some examples of that.
Well, I really think that, like I say, our true nature is creative, and what meditation really helps us to do, and I'm going to give you a few meditations you can do. I have tons of them that are on YouTube. So I don't think we're going to have time today to do one, but you never know. We might be able to do a short one. But I can tell you that meditation helps you to access that inner knowing. And when you're being called, whether it's to do what you're doing here as a coach and as a feminine mastery teacher, you hear to do it. I bet you just heard to do this at one point. Or maybe your intuition is more visual. Maybe you saw it, or maybe you felt it in an intuitive way. And I feel like creativity is constantly circling around and waiting for someone to say, oh, I'll take that, and take that on as a project. And just like being really mindful, I had to be really mindful when people were asking me, will you teach me to teach meditation? And I find, I had to be present, obviously, and I had to be present with my self-limiting beliefs, and I had to be present when I started to create the program. It really took that engagement. And obviously that mindfulness practice is a benefit of meditation. It's a way of life. And in order to create and access your power, you have to be present. You can't be checked out. You can't always be thinking about how the future is going to go when you're right here, right now, where the choices arise, where the intuition connects with you, where the intelligence makes itself known. And so you want to be right here, right now, most of the time, but there's nothing wrong with planning, and there's nothing wrong with reminiscing and thinking about how things went before, but you can't have your attention constantly hijacked out of this moment, or you won't be able to source the information that you need, which is going to be coming from within you. So you have to be present in order to hear the calling, and then be present in order to create the support around what your next project is. And everybody's project really is for 3 reasons. I would say, I was considering this earlier before our call, is there's always a personal reason why you want to do it, whether it's to pay your bills or to feel fulfilled, or if it's just because you want to use your talents, or it makes you feel good. There's always that personal reason. And then there's the interpersonal reason, you want to help to support women, or, you want to protect the environment. So there's this interpersonal kind of thing where you want to work with others and help them, whatever, providing a service or a product or an environment. And then there's the global reason that you're doing what you do, whether it's to create peace on earth or to create less suffering in this world. And I think oftentimes we have a vision of ourselves, but we don't include all three of those components. We can be personally interested in being abundant and being powerful authentically, and we can be interpersonal and helping people. And we have to have that global vision for ourselves, because I think we're all working as sort of an orchestra or symphony to create something magical in this world, especially women, Western women.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the, oh, what you're going to say?
I was going to tell you you asked about what makes my meditation special, but I'll save that after your question if you like.
Well, what you said is such an important part of the foundation of Feminine Mastery, of this series, of the way that this new, to me, the new consciousness, the new weaving together of how we're going to work together, change our world, is that we can't do it in our own sandbox. So the way I look at it is we all have been, we've been playing in our own sort of little community, our own self-contained communities. And now with this greater awareness, we're opening up to receive this calling and be who we are authentically. And then now through mindfulness, we're more aware of, how does that relate to how I connect with other people, and my gifts, I can't just keep them to myself, so what's the impact, or what am I meant to share in a specific way, and how does that transform people's lives or make that change? And then what is the ripple of that? And it was just so beautiful. I just wanted to harness that in this moment in the interview. And I think it's just so essential, and it's that opening up of your awareness of your being and the impact and the potential that you can have, if you choose. We don't, there's no pressure to have your calling be a global phenomenon, but
that's a lot of pressure if you're trying to do that.
Yeah, and I believe that as we become present and we transmit our love and our light, that we're a global phenomenon, even though we don't realize it, right? Our light and that wave of energy starts to travel. So
yes, it has a huge effect.
Yeah. So now let's go back to you and your teaching, and I mean, I'm ready to become a student.
Oh, okay. Well, I will do this. I'm going to talk. I just want to ask you to consider this. Everybody who's listening, I want you to consider your personal ripple effect. Think about the people you influence every single day. Think of the people that you see maybe once a week. And think about the people maybe you connect with once a year, holidays or reunions. And of course, all your friends on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and your mailing list, if you have one. We have a huge ripple effect. Each one of us has one. And we don't have to persuade anyone through sales tactics, through clever marketing. The best way we can create change is really to be, and this is of course a soundbite, but to be that change, to be the one to be courageous, to be the one who's going to harness your own power, and to start really living your authentic life in terms of, there's this great new movie out. It's called The Experimenter. I don't know if you've seen it. And this man talks about, he experiments why people kind of listen to authority. And he says only about 30% of the people will turn around and say, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't work for me. I think this is time to be one of those people that says, hey, wait a minute. Whether you're saying it to your own self-limiting beliefs, or you're saying it to the paradigm you're living in or surrounded by, or your community, and you say, I'm going to show people you can make a change. I'm going to be this female who can lead by example, whether it's leading your kids to school, leading your business, leading your family, leading your community in a volunteer position, it doesn't matter. We're all leaders. And I think women are service leaders. I think we do it born out of service, most of us anyway. Okay, what makes my meditations different? I think what happens is I studied for so long and I wanted to really get to the real deal of meditation. I mean, I wore the robes, I was in India, I was in the ashrams, I was in the monasteries and took the vows, and this is what I found out. Everybody, no matter how shaved their heads are, what they're wearing, or what kind of beads they're wearing, they are closing their eyes and having tons of thoughts. That's just the nature of meditation. You close your eyes, the internal dialogue starts to amp up. It starts to get more prominent, and it can be distracting for a brand new meditator. So you have about 60,000 thoughts a day, some people say. I'd say it's probably closer to 40, but 60,000 thoughts a day is one thought every 2 seconds. When you close your eyes, they get louder. So what I found out about meditation is it's okay to have thoughts. It's the nature of your mind to think. So even if you're walking down the beach trying to do your nervous system meditation, and all of a sudden you see this cute dog and you want to go pet it, and then all of a sudden you remember this other dog you liked, and maybe it's time to get a dog, and all of a sudden you're off and running. If you're in meditation, your job is to keep coming back to the focus of your meditation, whether it's visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. And so it's okay to have thoughts. This is the second essential. I have 5 essentials. Be kind to yourself, no matter what's going on in there in the middle of your meditation. Do not beat yourself up in there to have a certain experience. Do not put pressure on yourself, as to use your words, to have a ecstatic experience or an enlightening experience. Instead, just be kind to yourself, no matter how disturbed you get through the meditation. Number 3, don't try too hard. Use a gentle attention. Trying too hard will give you a headache, and it won't work for you. Actually, meditation is very natural. And the more you surrender to the process, the more you're able to access those quieter levels and those deeper and more expanded levels of consciousness. The 4th one is let go of any expectations you have with meditation. I've been on a number of calls like this and seminars, and people say, well, aren't you supposed to have a profound experience? No. You're going to have the experience you have, whether it's your shopping list, you suddenly remember you forgot to email somebody, you're thinking about how to redecorate your living room. This is natural as part of meditation. And so your job in meditation is to recognize that you're not on the meditation practice and to bring your attention back to it. And so the 5th one is to stick with it, which means every time you notice that you want to get up and stop, you simply sit through it, because that's the amygdala, the fight or flight response, trying to hijack you, to dominate you into the reactivity mode when you want to move more into the mind mode. So those are the 5 essentials, I think, that have changed people's practices from here to China. I know, because they told me. So those are 5. It's okay to have thoughts. Be kind to yourself. Don't try too hard. Let go of any expectations you have in meditation and stick with it. And predetermine the amount of time you're going to meditate for before you begin. So that's generally, I think those, I wish someone had told me, let's put it that way, before I had moved into the monasteries. I wish somebody had said, okay, you know what? You're going to have a lot of distracting thoughts, and it doesn't make you a bad meditator or a bad person. It doesn't make you a failure. You're doing it correctly.
Yeah.
So
Leave it to take such a profound practice and then integrate and bring it down to a simple form of where people can assimilate it, make it doable, practical, and not what's the word I want to use? I think
out of reach, mystical.
Yeah, out of reach, mystical, and like there's a right way to do it, and everything you're saying is parallel to life and to live this way, right? And so I love it. I love your approach, and it makes it very inviting to me. And so would you recommend a certain time? Would you recommend a timer? I mean, I think practical things like this for somebody like me, or I'm sure many people, women watching and listening, it's like they've been thinking about a practice. So what else can you tell them about, like, how to make this happen so that tomorrow morning they can wake up and get started?
Do it. Yeah. Well, the first thing I would recommend is to start with an empty stomach. So first thing in the morning, get up first thing. Don't start checking your email. Don't sleep with your phone to begin with. Um, get up and start meditating, whether you sit up on the headboard, against the headboard of your bed, or move into your living room. You don't have to be in a special outfit. You don't need to be in a special room. Simply close your eyes wherever you are. You want to predetermine the time that you're going to meditate for before you meditate. So don't make that arbitrary based on your internal experience. And so instead, start with something like 10 or 15 minutes where you close your eyes and you check the time before you start, and then you check it again. Every few minutes you'll have a thought, well, what time is it? And you can just look at your watch. And then you stick with it and then come out of meditation slowly. So the first time to meditate, or the best morning time, is right when you get up. The second time of day that's ideal is before dinner, not before bed. Before bed will actually sometimes keep you awake. So before dinner is a great way to kind of slough off the stress that you've been accumulating all day. And you tell me how much time we have. I don't know if we don't have enough time for meditation. I don't think. Do you?
Yeah, let's go for it. I
Want
think
to try it?
like a mini one. I think it's really important because I think we have you here,
Okay.
and to enhance
Let's try
the words you've been saying. Let's do it. Let's do a little mini.
it. Okay, so I want to get my little, how long is a mini? How long is a
Maybe
mini?
just 3 minutes. Is that
3 minutes?
okay?
Okay. Yeah, hold on one second. I'm just going to grab this one thing. It's my
Okay.
meditation bell. It's right here, and I wanted to get this. Okay, you see it?
Yes,
I
perfect.
time us with this. So why don't we get comfortable and close your eyes? And that does not mean lie down. It simply means get comfortable where you're sitting up. And let's close our eyes. And begin by giving yourself 3 long, slow, deep breaths through your nose. Breathing in slowly and deeply, and breathing out slowly and fully. And then letting your breath return to its natural rhythm and depth. I'm going to just invite the bell. And with your eyes closed, you might begin to notice you're a little more aware of the sounds in the environment. So take a moment now and welcome everything you hear. Also, with your eyes closed, you might begin to notice that you're a little more aware of the sensations present in your body. So with a mindful awareness, begin to relax your face, your belly, and your upper back, and your hips. And now begin to bring your attention to the gentle movement of your breath as you breathe in and out through your nose. Feeling the cool air as you inhale and the warmed breath as you exhale. Let your breath charm you as you sit like this for about another few moments, and I'll keep track of the time. Remember, it's okay to get distracted. Simply come back to the sensation of the breath. There's no particular feeling you should feel. Keep coming back. And just sit with your eyes closed for a moment and notice how you feel. Say something sweet to yourself and give yourself a smile before opening your eyes. It's always important to come out of meditation slowly, no matter what experience you had in meditation, even if you don't think anything happened in there. How was that for you?
Great.
Easy?
That's my style. Yeah, because you did the work up front to really, with the sensations and the sounds and activating, for me, activating the being, that allows people to drop in. For me, in my experience, helping women get to that inner source of their power and that calm and that opening up that channel. So that was wonderful, and your voice and everything is just so yummy. Thank you for doing that. I think it was perfect.
Short and sweet, but it was fun.
Yeah. Well, but that's perfect, leading into completing for today and the gift that you have to offer, right? So Sarah McLean, world-renowned meditation teacher. She leads retreats. She has a center in Sedona. Just so those of you being called to meditation, here she is, and she has a very special gift for us that will be available on her speakers page. A simple click away and you'll be in her world of new possibilities and getting more in touch with your personal power. So what have you got for us?
Well, I have a number of recorded meditations, and they are, some of them you're not going to be able to find on YouTube. Some of them are on YouTube, and you could just Google it. But these are recorded meditations that you can listen to. I've heard they're great for anyone, even a reluctant meditator, even kids. I've had somebody say that she did it with her 8-year-old son, and it made him, that was their gratitude meditation. It made him feel really connected to her and their family. And so you can just go on there and click, and you can listen to these. You can download them or listen to them online. And there's also an 8-week radio series from Hay House that I had done in accordance with my book. My book is called Soul Centered, Transform Your Life in 8 Weeks with Meditation. And Hay House asked me to do a radio series based on that. So we have recorded that, and we have that available for you as well. So there are 3 or 4 meditations plus the 8-week series when they're about an hour each show. So that's another 8 hours of conversation around meditation.
So generous. Sorry, echo. And that's so, your gift is so generous, Sarah, and I can get that this meditation can really transform our lives and guide us to personal power and just open up so much more. So this interview is so, I hope that everybody takes a moment to just take it all in, because there were, I feel like that presence of ascended masters, God, the goddesses behind you here with us today, this conversation about, feminine power versus masculine, and how we can all find that authentic power within ourselves and express our authenticity, and how meditation just, I think, is such an essential tool for us today, with all of the, just even more so with all the distractions, but also that calling. I really do believe we are all being called, and your practices just bring us all right to that place where we can receive all that's waiting for us with prosperity, love, abundance, and more. So Sarah McLean, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. And I love all you that are listening. And thank you for taking this time to really wake up to the wonder and beauty of who you really are.
That's gorgeous. Thank you. Thanks everybody for being with us today, and we'll see you on the next interview.